The question I kept asking anybody who called me, the question I kept asking anybody around me is, what did Obasa want to achieve by yesterday's action? I wish I could be a fly in the wall in his head and now be with him this morning looking at all the videos at what happened, and I would like to ask, did he feel he was successful and at what? Remember that the gentleman had done the gentlemanly thing by going to the courts. Indeed, there's a session in court this morning. His case being led by my good friend Fashanu, who is an SCN. They're in court this morning. He didn't, like a lawyer said yesterday, he didn't even wait for the court to decide. He decided to go for self-help. Is that a good example to the people and younger ones? I'd leave that with you to judge. So he went in and then said, I'm back, did all the razzmatazz. At the same time, the 32 members out of 36 were cocooned somewhere else, and they kept insisting that he is not their speaker. And I said to myself, I can't make out in all honesty what he wanted to achieve. But it became more curious when the news filtered through these SMSs and WhatsApp, and that the security detail of Miranda had been withdrawn by the police. I said, what? Even as this former speaker, she's entitled to protection. Even as a former speaker, let's say all is on, she has to be protected for a very long time because of the position. And I said, who was it done by? They said the commissioner of police has addressed a kind of press conference and said that, it was that there was what did he call it now?
A routine audit.
A routine audit
of the details.
A routine audit that denies Miranda protection and offers Obasa double protection. Come on. You see, professionals have to be very, very careful. If you allow these politicians to rubbish you and your career, you pay dearly for it for the rest of his life. If 10 years from now, I'm just thinking, the gentleman wants to apply for a visa and is in a high ranking, and based on what has happened, because the world is not, this is not going to go unnoticed. He is denied the visa. I will be wondering why, because we would have forgotten. Not just that. When he attends, when as a professional you attend the conference of policemen, Commonwealth police and that, and these kind of things come up, I'm sure the CP will be embarrassed. We must, and I pity him. I pity him. I have a lot of pity for him finding himself in this kind. I'm sure it must have been a downer for him. The number 3 citizen politically. You leave that person without protection. Okay, so when you left her without protection, what if something had happened? What if something had happened? So it's all a bit of a big mess. Of course, I don't believe that story about some audit. The police situation is very bad at this moment. The politicians have messed it up. Even musicians have 2, 3. I mean, so let's leave that. Let's leave that as it is. The question now is that we are now in some kind of stalemate, I believe. And the only person who can resolve this very quickly is the president. There's no point saying he knows, he doesn't know, he's not. No, don't let's go there. Let's look at ourselves eye to eye and tell ourselves the truth. Either the president summons all these people to Abuja, they sit down and resolve it there once and for all, or he comes down to Lagos to come and solve this problem. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and there is no telling which way it would go from here. Nobody, because I did the round of my phone calls and everything. There is no telling which way it is go from here, because more egos are being bruised and it's becoming more complex and difficult. To Obasa, I say, sir, you are a lawyer, you are a speaker, you are an adult, you are a parent. you should have waited for the court to make its decision. And I can tell you, sir, I need to be convinced that there was any sense in what happened yesterday. I need to be convinced. Maybe you have, but I need to be convinced. More so when you have done the gentlemanly thing by going to court. If you claim that all you want is for it to be properly done, you have seen that majority of your colleagues don't want you, but that, you want it properly done, you did the most sensible thing. You got a son to go to court, get judgment. You've been speaker for 10 years, get judgment. Your name would have been good in history. I will want to see where all this is going to lead. Heaven help us all. Again, is beyond calling on any GAC or whatever now. I would like to call on the president that your legacy hands on this. You've achieved what you wanted in life. You are now the president. What you should be racing for, what you should be living for day in, day out is your legacy. Because now it might not appear important. Later, when you feel like writing your own book, when you feel like writing your own book, I wonder what are the things you would like to put down. At that time, it will matter to you. It might not matter now. It might all be about power. We don't have time to go into all the nuances of it. But I plead with him to please step into this matter and nip it in the bud. This is not the Lagos I was born into. This is not the Lagos state I have lived in all my life. More painful, at a time when the state government itself had stepped up its actions. But whether you like it or not, we've come to admit that there's been a lot of development in Lagos. This issue now, is a complete downer. Honestly, it's a complete downer. I'd like to refer to the headline in the Punch, where the speaker is quoted to have said, front page lead of the Punch says, "I'm loyal to Tinubu, but my actions are mine." Honorable Obasa, all your political actions, you should take into cognizance how your principle will be affected. Just like when you take decisions and say, I would have done this, but for this. What you have done, sir, has not placed President Tinubu in good light. And it will be sad if you allow yourself to be used by the devil locally to smear the legacy that he would leave behind. Even if he goes in 2027, all things must come to an end. He has a full page interview in the Punch for those who might be willing to read that. So let's see how it goes. It's an unfolding drama. Unfortunately, there's no newspaper review tomorrow, so we don't know.
So it's interesting. But all I can say to all those of you in Lagos is welcome to the show.
Because of Port Harcourt. No, it shouldn't be happening.
We had it.
You see, if it happens in Lagos, it gets a lot of world attention. Forget about Abuja being the capital. It's like saying something that happens in New York, in America, is very, very significant compared to other states. And just like I said, it appears as if we cannot supervise ourselves. We've been set free by the colonialists, but we have not freed ourselves. What is all this fight about? A man has been speaker for 10 years, 32 out of 36 say they don't want him. He wants to prove a point. He has done the right. He has done the common sense thing by going to court, and now smears it with this one. It's very sad.
Uncle Jimmy, you said Obasa did the gentlemanly thing by going to court, but I'm sure Obasa knows, like all good politicians know, that politics is not for gentlemen. Like Fela said, I don't be gentleman at all.
Which is sad. If we then allow people who don't consider themselves gentlemen to lead us, where does that leave us?